Pictou Landing First Nation is located along the Northumberland Strait, across from the town of Pictou. The ancestors of the current residents chose this place because of its proximity to the large body of water. This body of water is now known as Boat Harbour, but to the Mi'kmaq people who live here, it is known as Oseg. The name was chosen because they treated it as if it were an extension of their own home, another room. Oseg was a large part of their everyday life. It was used for its fishing, hunting, and recreational purposes. We spoke with Carl Thomas, who shared his experiences with Oseg.
Back to an Oseg, Delvidai, Nigay, near Dickasamudi Gamnadio, Panasangwan Margelo Capala, Sabudab in Sangwane, no matter than good little demi to Chigelokega. Was a Nigaya 1965, a bait opening now lies. Scott paper, deal body media, bala back into Boat Harbour, right? Twisted nigga, now which na extra see a big dollar, my polluted no get. Never since I got Chimodaway, now gives established what I good la Boat Harbour, now la Scott paper. Now within days, I got a mock that way, someone. Mugisi me magic when go when Bison egg when hunt maybe one trap maybe one no there. Got a man culture minute now the guy in the way come sit go.
The Pictou Landing First Nation Native Women's Group was formed in 2010 and is made up of youth, mothers, and grandmothers. They typically focus on Boat Harbour and what health concerns could arise from the pollution.
I got to sit in with the Native women, and it's a group of women that are the youth and mothers, grandmothers, and we went away to a retreat at Halifax, and basically just to kind of talk about Boat Harbour. And we did a talking circle the last day, and during the weekend we were hearing a lot of educational expertise on what could be going on in Boat Harbour, right? And we were hearing from different people from Dalhousie, different experts, and that was really powerful. But then when we did the talking circle, that was like, it was so powerful, and you hear the hurt, the fear, the loss. There's so much loss. Like, it's not just the loss of the water, like that's a huge loss in itself, but then there was the loss of the resource, the loss of employment, the loss of opportunity, and that whole spiritual loss. People used to go there and gather their medicines, and for them to have that fear of, is this going to hurt me if I go and get these medicines? Am I doing more harm? If I plant my garden, what's going to come out of that? Am I hurting myself? And the women talking about their children and reaching puberty at such a young age, and that whole fear of their children growing up too fast. Well, not growing up, but their reproductive system is just, it's coming too soon. They're not ready for it. And so it was just, you sit there and you listen to all these stories, and then you hear the youth talk about, that loss. And we never got to experience that beauty of it. And that's a huge loss in itself, to know that, we grew up to that pollution, and we never got to enjoy that life that it used to offer. And it's, it is very, very sad. And to live so close to the water and not to be able to enjoy it, and not, you come here and you watch the children swimming, and And you know, you wish you could do that at home. You wish you could just send the kids so that they could go swimming down our waters, but you can't. You can't even take you know, you don't want them to go into Sudamuk. You don't want them to go to the beach to go swimming because you don't know what's in there, right? You don't know if that's going to hurt them. And to hear the anger, there's a lot of anger. People are really upset about what has happened. Trust is a huge thing, and you know, you lose that trust even within your own community.
We hope to find out if Boat Harbour is killing us, if it's hurting us. That is our ultimate goal with all of this work. We're quite similar to all the other Native women groups in the province. We are a part of the Nova Scotia Native Women Association. But for us, the work that we're doing right now is we're focusing on Boat Harbour. A lot of people, myself included, don't know what Boat Harbour was originally like, so these stories will give us a background. So Diana Campbell, Dee Campbell, she's a PhD student with Dalhousie, and she has been doing environmental health surveys, and the results of that survey are going to be more immediate than the results of the environmental research. And what the health surveys are about is they're going around to all the households and they're asking people just questions about their health, and do they think Boat Harbour has affected their spiritual health, their cultural health, their emotional health, you know, just how has the laws of Boat Harbour affected them. And then we have, with the environmental research project itself, it is a 3-year project, so we won't know the results probably until next year. And I really, really hope that the community is starting to realize just how serious this is. You know, it's not just the Native women that this is affecting, it's all of us.
There are many ongoing studies being done in Pictou Landing, including testing for air, water, and soil contaminants. We got to join a researcher on a day of testing.
These are just little mounts. We put these, either these little cylinders, these little can-shaped things, or these like longer ones with nuts on either end. And depending on which kind we put out there, they're measuring different things in the air. Things that we think might be coming out of Boat Harbour and might be some sort of worrisome for the life living around here. So we got 3 different kinds that we put up, and then we just let them sit open and sort of soak up from the air what they're looking for, the particular kinds of pollutants that each of them's made for. And then we come back and take them to a lab and see how much they got.
The testing being done has yet to yield any results, but they are expected in the near future. Many community members are still affected by Boat Harbour. We spoke with a couple of elders about their experiences.
We shared a lot. The hunt, we had certain guys doing all the hunting. Certain people would do the fishing. And once they come home with the kill, it will be distributed among our people. But the people were, you know, we were honestly, you know, it was just that's our responsibility. I'm responsible for you. I'm responsible for the whole community. This is the way it was, you know, and you just don't even have to ask for it. It was you're given rights. So gardening was very common. Almost everybody had a garden. Vegetables of all description, mostly potatoes and stuff like that. And like myself, I just had potatoes and tomatoes. Another person will have and will share. Like, you know, I'd have a whole garden full of tomatoes. There's no way I can eat all of them. But this was a community thing. You're not doing it just for yourself. You're doing it. You have to make sure you have enough there to feed the community. I think the Boat Harbour is just way too much pollution there. It'll take forever for that to be cleaned and everything else. I think we need to move away from this area altogether and maybe come back 500 years' time, if you know. But right now, It's whatever they do with it, it's not going to solve the problem. It's just too far gone, eh?
What do I miss most about Boat Harbour? The beauty and the fun. Used to be a very beautiful place all around. You're going all the way down to the beach. And the fun that people had. This is where people went. And then, like, you know, there'd be all bunch of them fishing or swimming, kids playing. So go down there any time of the day, there'd be people there. And, like, you know, we could have had houses there. We could have had a resort there. Even our beach was ruined. The water turned dark. And that beach used to be full. Lighthouse Beach, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, just packed with people from town. And we couldn't even go swimming there. We'd have to go swim at the other side. Or else we'd go Osage. It was nice and peaceful there. I just hope they would take it elsewhere. Take the pollution elsewhere. Close the mill or do something. We'll never have any fish there. We'll never be able to swim there. Not in our lifetime anyway. But, you know, it's like we were living in an island. Like, you know, there's a stream going from here all the way to on the other side. It's like an island here. And then all around us it's water. And that water is no longer any good. It's a total loss. Boat Harbour will never, ever be the same.
The majority of the youth are unaware of the impact that Boat Harbour has had on the community.
Well, my grandma used to tell me that when she was younger, she used to swim down at the beach. And, well, we couldn't do that now because it's all polluted down there.
It used to be clear, you were able to swim in it, fish in it, and do all kinds of things with it.
It's polluted, and then there needs to be something done about it.
The current chief has been actively involved with the ongoing issue of Boat Harbour. She has made it her primary goal to ensure that Pictou Landing and Osage have a promising future.
I was in high school and I did a paper on it just because I was curious about it. And I started asking around, you know, what was Boat Harbour like before then? And they used to tell me that they used to be able to go swim in there, and they used to fish, like the fishing boats used to go in there. And they used to hunt. And I remember when I was a teenager, I was about 15, and I used to go hunting with my cousin, Albert. We would go snaring for rabbits, and we would have snares all around, like around Boat Harbour. And when we would bring the rabbits in and we would go to skin them, they would have all these tumors on them. And we would just chuck them. Like, we didn't associate that really with Boat Harbour because we didn't know too much about the pollution and stuff, right? I remember when I was in council back in 2005, and we used to have these negotiation meetings with the province. And the whole thing was clean up, closure, or better. And we would sit there with, you know, Department of Transportation, Department of Environment, all of these people from the province are sitting at the table with us. And the whole thing is about clean up, closure, or better. And how do we reach that? When that loss of trust is at the community level, because it creates a lot of division, it creates family division, it creates community division, and that in itself is it's painful. And Boat Harbour is such a delicate subject. When people approach me and say, "Oh, I'd like to do this for Boat Harbour," and I think the ideas are great. But I always have to caution people that this is a very sensitive subject, right? You can't just, and I know people mean well, but it's not something where you can just go and let's do this, because this has affected everybody in our community in some sort of fashion. And for some, it's really painful, right? We had our second community session about a month ago, and the feeling I got out of when we talked about it afterwards, the Sheila Francis and the ladies that are kind of heading this study, and we exchanged emails and stuff, and I said, the feeling that I got out of that meeting was the people almost felt a sense of relief that this is going to be their story, that this is going to be their information. Because the biggest thing was always, who's doing these tests, right? Who is mandating these tests? Is it the province? Is it the mill? So to know that this information is coming from us, for us, I could kind of sense that relief from the room, because there was a lot of questions coming out, a lot of good questions. And one of the questions that came out was, so who is doing this information? Who is asking you to do this information, and who is it for, type of thing, right? And to be able to tell them, well, the direction is from you, right? And it's your information. My thoughts for the future with Boat Harbour is, I would love to see it cleaned up, to find a solution as to how can you do that. Well, first of all, they have to stop dumping the effluent in there. The mill has to dump their effluent somewhere else so that the cleanup process can begin in Boat Harbour. And how that would happen, I have no idea. There's been a lot of ideas tossed around. And one of the ideas that almost seemed to make sense was to make it a tidal estuary again. However, then you have, the fishermen will be worried about how will that affect the fisheries, right? Having all this coming in and out. And I know I'm not going to see it in my lifetime, I don't think, cleaned up. But I pray to God that my grandchildren will see that it's a cleaner place. We'll see that, that they can go down there and enjoy it, or they can go and swim in it, or, maybe one day they can fish in it. But I'd love to see that come back to what it once was. And I know they said clean up, closure, or better. All we can expect now is that it has to be better. It has to be better than what it is now. You can't get any worse.